I think it's about the whole Murdoch empire, and it goes through the United States, it goes through Australia, it goes through the United Kingdom, and it's terribly worrying. You said, one of you, quite rightly, that politicians should get on top of it. But let's be quite blunt. I think my party is the only one that's positively loathed by Rupert Murdoch. All the others are very popular. I saw him coming into every single 10 Downing Street after the 1997 election, the 2001 election, the 2010 election. There he was, waiting for the next Prime Minister to be told that he wouldn't get elected again unless he managed to square himself with Murdoch. That's a desperately dangerous situation. And in my view, the second investigation, not only the first one, but the second one, about the whole relationship between politicians and the media is absolutely crucial. The so-called Press Complaints Commission is a joke. It ought to be replaced by some really powerful element. Otherwise, we'll get the press dominated by the law, and that wouldn't be a good thing. They should be dominated and controlled on their own side. And finally, and in some ways it's the thing that worries me most of all, and that is the involvement of the police. We've got to look into that as well, because there's no doubt that trust in the police after the first 2006 investigation, when, as we all know, we came up with just two pathetic characters as being responsible for the whole damn mess we're in. It won't do. The Metropolitan Police have got to clean themselves up, and they've got to make sure that we get our trust back in their ability to investigate.
We've got questions on... We've got questions on all these things, so let's try and take them one by one. But Chris Grayling, is the closure of the News of the World a cynical attempt to stave off greater problems for News Corp?
Well, frankly, today's decision, to my mind, is almost immaterial to the key goal right now, and that is to understand who is responsible for what's happened, for them to be properly investigated by the police and put before the courts. I think on Monday, when we learnt about Millie Dowler, and since then the revelations about victims of the London bombings, about the families of soldiers in Afghanistan, this whole affair went to a level that's beyond anything else we've countenanced. It is appalling. The people responsible have to be investigated, they have to be charged, they have to be brought before the courts. This was a crime that has revolted the whole country.
And what kind of inquiry would you think was the right inquiry into this? They've talked of two inquiries so far.
I think
people are rather sceptical about inquiries, aren't they?
I think we'll end up with several inquiries. We've got one today through the IPCC into the conduct of the police. Clearly there will be, and we've agreed with the opposition, there should be a public inquiry. Right now, the important inquiry is...
Forgive me, Chris. Would you accept tonight, in front of this audience, that because of the relationship between politicians and the journalists, there needs to be a judge heading that inquiry that has the capacity to compel witnesses to appear before the inquiry? It's a very simple question, yes or no.
Including politicians.
Well,
including politicians.
Yeah. David Cameron has said he will sit down with your leader, Ed Miliband, and agree what form that inquiry should take. Right now, the inquiry I'm concerned about is the police. And it may very well be.
We've got a question about
it. It may very well be a judge-led inquiry. Yeah. But let us sit down on a cross-party basis and decide what the best way to carry out the inquiry is.
There should be a full public inquiry, and I think Shirley's right. I mean, ever since the last person out of Britain, the Sun front page, when Neil Kinnock was there, and everyone said, oh, the Sun won their election. I don't believe they did. But ever since then, politicians got scared of the red tops. And what happened then was Alistair Campbell and Tony Blair created this relationship with Murdoch. It wasn't just Murdoch as Darth Vader, the evil emperor, because that isn't what he is. It was both of them together. And the Conservatives have continued it. I sat in the office and saw it happen before my eyes. That's why I agree with you, Shirley. I'll put it in my diary. We need a full public inquiry, and it has to be headed by a judge. And I would even say that Rupert Murdoch himself should be called, if that's at all possible. And that's what should happen.